I mean,
I was wondering, am I supposed to do it today?
Live from New York. It's the show that's without Kevin Wildes because he's busy trying to scrub the internet from all his Nuggets tweet proclamations. It's First Things First. On today's show. All right, I will admit on the front end, I was shocked by Luka's performance. Were you surprised by Luka's performance last night?
Luka is the caliber of player. Jokic, prime LeBron.
Yep.
To some degree, even still LeBron. Where I'm always surprised when they don't play well. You know, you just expect them to have a great game. And you know it happens. Everybody, Jordan, LeBron, everybody's had bad playoff games. But I'm shocked when I see a guy like this have a bad game. So, yes. Now, we know he's injured. Credit to him. He's not talking about the knee. He's not out there, you know, making it obvious that the knee is bothering him. And like you said yesterday, Nick, we don't want to play the game of when he plays poorly, it's hurt, the knee.
And when he plays great, he's great.
Because he's had really good games. Game 5, he was fantastic against the Clippers.
Yep.
He hurt himself in Game 3. So he can be better. I'll give you a few adjustments, not so much X's and O's, but just philosophical or just things they can do differently. Since Luka got hurt in Game 3 against the Clippers, he sprained his knee, his three-point shooting has been abysmal.
Yes.
Now, if you have a leg injury, legs are an important part of your jump shot. So you would think that your long-range shooting is going to suffer. And here are the numbers on Luka since the regular season, 38% from three. First 3 games, that's not good, 30%.
But that's a couple makes away from being up to your average.
But since the injury, 14% from 3, but he's still throwing up 9 threes a game.
10 again.
Yesterday, he was 5 of 11 from 2. And you look, you know, he mid-range because of his strength, he still can score at will, I think, in the mid-range. So what I like to see him do going forward is to probably cut down a bit on the threes and get more in the mid-range. Second adjustment quickly, Nick. Kyrie, with Luka ailing, Kyrie's got to take an even bigger role, which he does here and there. He does it one half. He does it one game. He's got to do it consistently. Yesterday, he was efficient, 20 points, 14 shots, but I need like 24 shots.
I agree with a lot of that. Now, I picked the Mavs to win this series. I actually said, a week ago that I think the Mavs can go to the NBA Finals. They can win the title. I am not disheartened by the Game 1 loss because there's a bit of a LeBron feel-out game to Luka with the Mavs. They always lose. They always lose game 1s.
They're 0-5 under J. Kidd in Game 1.
And by the way, he's won in, I think, 6 in his career in Game 1s, the Mavs since he got there. But what was frustrating is last night, I thought, he's broken out of the slump. He started the game really well and then went ice cold. And we can show you the numbers. First 5 minutes of the game, it's like, okay, this Luka is going to have what is kind of a vintage Luka playoff game where he has like a 40-point double-double with 8 or 9 assists and just controls everything and then could get nothing going.
Would you agree, because you're right, like LeBron, you can actually see him feeling out teams early. I don't think that was a feel-out game by Luka. I think he just didn't play well.
I totally agree. I guess what I'm saying is he's used to being down 0-1. You know, and in fact, the only time he's won Game 1, they lost the series. That was when they went up 2-0 in Los Angeles on the Clippers, and the Clippers and Kawhi came back. But this was legitimately one of the worst playoff games of his career. It's the second fewest points, the third fewest rebounds, the fewest threes. It was across the board as poorly as he's played in the playoffs. And I think that the Mavs, especially without Kleba, who is an important loss for them because of the shooting he adds in the stretch 5, not to invoke LeBron again, but there has to be an element of like LeBron and Kyrie on the Cavs when Kevin Love was out style, which is, listen, man, I'm going to have to control everything when I'm Luka. Slow everything down. Kai, you're going to have to, save us on a bunch of possessions, and everybody else make your open threes. But the only way that works is if Luka is exceptional.
Yeah.
The only way it worked in Cleveland was
and LeBron didn't shoot a high percentage that series. I think it was 38%
Oh,
against
you're
the
talking.
Warriors.
I'm not even just talking about the 2015 Finals. I'm talking about any time that it was those guys together, right? Because 2015 Finals, Kyrie wasn't even there except for the first game.
Right.
But your point about Luka not shooting 10 threes, when LeBron was doing that, he wasn't shooting a lot of threes. He was controlling the game, getting in the paint. And I know LeBron's more athletic than Luka is, but Luka's got a better mid-range jump shot, you know what I mean, than LeBron has. And so I feel like this moment for Luka is so wildly important because I think Luka, SGA, Ant are all looking at the fact that Denver's on the ropes and saying, man, whether we're actually the best player alive or not, we have a chance to try to grab the claim to it by being the superstar on the champion. Yeah. And the Mavs' only path there, Brew, is if Luka's brilliant. I still think they can do it, but he's got to play way better than he did last night.
And it's bigger for Luka. And I don't even think that's entering Ant's thinking because he's so young, right? SGA is just beginning to kind of be this superstar. Luka, because he was so good right away, it feels like he's older than he is, right? And it's like this year, Denver may be out. OKC is young. You know, this
Giannis
is the year.
Out.
Minnesota is probably just going to get better going forward with Ant. So this is, and you're right, the Eastern Conference is a mess. Yeah. So this is a great year for Luka to try to get it before, the future.
Absolutely. Or if the Nuggets are going to revamp next year and be in a better position like this, somebody could take care of them for you. All right, move on to the Thunder side of things. SGA, who's going to find out tonight. I think he finished second in the MVP voting for the league. Led OKC in points, rebounds, and assists in the 22-point win. It's basically, they've blown out their opponent in every playoff game except for the first one of the year. Here's Shea on their success. Take a listen. Bro, are the Thunder finally starting to look like legitimate championship contenders?
Well, look, they meet the eye test. All right, they've got the MVP candidate. Like you said, he's going to finish second. I voted for Luka. Luka's going to be third. But they got the MVP candidate in the SGA. And that MVP candidate lives in the lane, the mid-range. Like, he can get into the paint and score seemingly at will. But surrounding him is the best three-point shooting team in the league.
Correct.
SGA is not a big three-point shooter.
No.
But
He's
they
a big
led
free throw shooter.
Right. He gets fouled. Yeah. They led the league in three-point shooting. So when you got a great player who can get into the paint and then surrounded with three-point shooters, that's great. Defensively, we know they were top 4 or 5 in the league offensively and defensively. Yeah. So defensively, number one. And last night, they were swarming. It was like, and you saw tweets from ex-players and people coming out like, these young boys are like, and they're talking about OKC and Minnesota. And what they have are great individual defenders. SGA, I had SGA on my second team all defense. You know, because I think now, and just a quick tangent, Nick. A lot of times now when you look at the all defensive teams, or you look at a lot of the analytics-driven media that's voting, they're going to pick a lot of non-stars, a lot of specialists. Yep. And that's where Herb Jones, Jaden McDaniels, those guys are great defenders. But in the past, the Jordans, the LeBrons, we still got to consider some of these stars for these all defense, you know what I mean? Defensive teams. And so I had SGA. SGA is a great defender. Lou Dort, like great individual defenders.
Long and
absolutely. But they also are on a string because they're well coached. Oh, Coach of the Year, Mark Daigneault. Yeah. So their defense is stout, and as you said it, you got the rim protector when all else fails. So they meet the eye test in just about every category. You know what test they don't meet? They fail?
The age test?
The history test.
Yeah, sure.
The history test. We've never seen this. And Nick, it's not we've never seen this century. It's not we've never seen this since the merger.
It's ever.
We've never seen this in the history of basketball. That interview that they did yesterday, he started off, we didn't show it, saying you're the youngest team ever to win a second round game.
Okay, sure.
Second round game.
Yep.
All right. And look at this. So we talking about winning the finals? These are the youngest 5 teams to ever win a finals. OKC is 24 years old on average And so they would be the youngest team ever to win a championship. And what you notice about all those teams is the last one to do it this young, or even close to this young, was the Lakers 45, 44 years ago.
Right, and that Lakers team, by the way, had, Kareem in his apex of his prime, and Magic, who didn't miss a beat. And then the youngest team to ever do it was Walton's Blazers, also in a time where the league was a little different because the ABA had just merged. Yeah. And so it's just the 70s are kind of the oddest decade in NBA history. So but that is the only thing working against them. This is where, so you said it, I'll just reiterate it. Number 3 offense, number 4 defense. They don't turn the ball over. They're the best three-point shooting team by percentage. The only thing they don't do well is rebound. Like from an analytical perspective. That's the only thing. The only basketball reason is the rebounding. And then there is one other basketball question, which is, so SGA, I made light of it a bit. SGA, just so people understand how often he gets to the line, it's not only that he led the league in free throws, he shot exactly as many free throws this year as LeBron James and Paul George combined. Okay? And both those guys played 70-plus games this year.
Right. Last night, he had like 11.
Correct. And last night, I didn't think either Western Conference playoff game was poorly officiated, but they were officiated so differently. I'm talking about from the Minnesota-Denver game, felt like one sport, and last night felt like, basically first month of this NBA season, we're going to call everything. So my concern is if OKC if they don't get a whistle, you know what I mean, where it's like, hey, we're going to let you play, how much does that hurt them? And yeah, it is just the age. And that's really the only thing you can. But I don't think that is a bad reason not to believe in them. I know Thunder fans will be like, what more can we do? Right. And the answer is, honestly, probably nothing other than make history. Like, whenever you're trying to be the first team or the youngest team or the oldest team to doing it, there's going to be, even though they've won 10 straight games now. You date back to the regular season. A lot of them by blowouts. They handled their business to get the 1 seed. They did all that. Speaking of handling business to get the 1 seed, Boston won comfortably. Jaylen Brown and Derek White led the way, as they have really the entire postseason. Tatum struggled shooting again. 7 of 19 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. He's been the Celtics' 3rd leading scorer this postseason. He's yet to have a 30-point game. Brew, is there any reason to be concerned about Tatum?
Yes, because let's face it, the Celtics' goal is not to win the East. It's not to get to the NBA Finals. They will, now obviously any team that gets to the finals and loses will be disappointed. But most teams too look at it like, wait till next year. Yeah. If they get to the finals and lose, particularly as we're talking about, if Denver's not the team to beat them, then it is going to feel like they got beat in the first round. I mean, really, if they were to lose to a Minnesota or an OKC, even a Dallas, all right, all those teams are young. And maybe even younger than the Celtics,
none of them had OKC. Close to the regular season. They did not,
or have been knocking on the door for 5 years to win a championship. So, and I said all that to say they can't win the championship with Jason Tatum playing like this. Yeah. Now, to his credit, he has been rebounding. He's averaging over 10 a game in the playoffs. So he's been defending well. He leads the Celtics in assists with about 5 a game. So credit to him, he's not letting the shooting slump get to him and stop him from doing the other things. So I'll give him credit for that. But they need him to step up for a few reasons. One, we'll see what Porzingis is like when he gets back. They're lucky Derek White has played so well, but is he going to shoot 50% from 3 throughout the playoffs? And here's the other thing, Nick. Jason Tatum is their best player. Jason Tatum is their MVP candidate. Jason Tatum is their first-team All-NBA player. If they get to the finals and he's been the 3rd guy, he's human.
It won't work.
You see what I'm saying? You're human.
I totally agree with you. Especially
do you start trying to do too much?
Right, especially when whomever you meet in the finals, it's going to be because their best guy has been annihilating people. Right. Whether it's Ant, SGA, if the Mavs get on a run.
He might be younger than you.
Right, or Joker if the Nuggets turn around, whatever it is. So we can show you Tatum's numbers because it's what I understand the Celtics have been blowing people out. So you can be like, well, he doesn't need to score more than 20. It's the percentages that are the concern. It's not that, he's playing low minutes, he's not taking shots. It's the percentages. And this is why, if I may defend my pal Colin Cowherd for a moment, because I agree with him on it, that folks that say Tatum is a all-NBA caliber guy, he is an MVP-ish candidate, but he is not in the same tier as the guys in the debate for best player in the world or even in that periphery. It's because of what you said at the beginning about Luka. Like, hey, great players, we're surprised when they have a bad game. Great, and Tatum is a very, very good player. But the best guys never have 6 games like this. Never. You know what I mean? In a row in the postseason. Where it's just like, you've been subpar for 2.5 weeks. It just doesn't happen. Now it happens to literally everyone else in the world. And so this is why Tatum is somewhere from the 6th to 10th best guy in the league, and I don't think fairly considered 1 through 5. The problem is, for the Celtics, theoretically, is whomever they face in the finals is going to have somebody in that 1 through 5 group, and can your whole overall unit overpower it? All right, now let's get to the suspension that wasn't. A bizarre situation here. So the league's ruling came down last night in Jamal Murray's antics from Monday night. He was fined $100,000, wasn't suspended. Brew, you said he definitively should be suspended. Are you surprised he won't miss any time? And do you think the Timberwolves have a legitimate gripe here?
I'm not completely surprised. All right, I said yesterday he must be suspended. He definitely should be suspended. But I'm not surprised because we know that the Nuggets, and I think, look, if this series is 1-1, he might have been suspended.
If it's 2-0
Denver, he might have been suspended. There's a part of me, only a part, because there's a part of me, and I said it yesterday, that's glad he's not suspended. I want Denver to have a legitimate chance, right, to dig out of this hole. But even that part, this just doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit right. There is no justification for him not to be suspended. You can rationalize it like the league is doing, saying, hey, you don't know his intention. Was he slamming it in frustration and it slipped and went all the way out onto the court? I mean, the damage that could have been done from something like this, I'm sorry, and we've seen, not under Adam Silver, but under David Stern, his predecessor, we've seen series change.
By
maybe
things way less egregious than this.
Absolutely.
Guys meandering off the bench, whether it's Amari Stoudemire or half the damn Knicks team. Right, they had to suspend guys in Game 6 and then 7 because they couldn't field team. Now, I get that was a lifetime ago and a different commissioner. But this is egregious, and this is where I think the Timberwolves do have a gripe. Rudy Gobert, who plays for the Timberwolves, got a $100,000 fine for doing this to the refs. Jamal Murray did that.
Right.
He did. So are you telling me Gobert could have then, after that, chucked a couple items on the court during live play and the fine would have been the same? I'm not a slippery slope guy. I think that's typically a bad argument. It means you have a weak argument. But I do think this opens the door a bit to where if someone on the bench is a bench player in particular, you know what I mean? Someone's taking a corner 3 and you throw your towel. Like, what is...
You set a precedent.
You set a precedent that this isn't a suspendable action. This is a finable action.
And this is in the playoffs, not even just the regular season.
And it was 2 items. That's the other thing I can't get over. He threw the towel, realized, damn it, this towel's not heavy enough. It's not getting there. Give me something with some weight to it and threw that. That's wild to me.
It is terrible. It is absolutely terrible.
It's good for basketball. It's good for this series that we can see him full strength, but I think it's the wrong precedent. All right. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.